The Division 2 sports a number of new game mechanics growing on the familiar trends of the Division 1. Two areas that have seen some changes are the weapons and builds. In this video we're going to be covering the weapons and gear pieces, and how they'll behave in the Division 2. Before I get started, this information is obviously based on pre-launch experience within the game, so it's possible that some of what you see here could change. But in saying that, I'll be covering this from a purely fundamental point of view, and at this stage, so close to launch, most of this is unlikely to be changed. It's been confirmed that there will be set pieces, but so far we haven't had a huge amount of information on these, so I'll leave these out for another video. Same as the Division 1, and like most other role-playing games, the higher the rarity, the more powerful the item. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be talking about the high-end gear. It should be noted that the same principles apply to the other rarity types, just on a lower scale. To keep this simple, I'll break down a gear piece into the following groups: brand sets, attributes, talents. We still have greys, blues, purples, golds, etc., but within most of these we also have brand sets. Now I'm not going to go into too much depth, but basically these are like the sets we've been using for the last 3 years. Have these replaced sets? No. They're more like a preset set. Brands are a more readily available version of a set item. Most items, even from early on in the game, have a brand associated with them. The more of these you have equipped, up to a total of 3, the more bonuses you'll gain. For example, you could have 3 of the Wyvern Wear brand set, providing the extra attributes of critical hit damage, drone skill power, and critical hit chance, and 3 of the Alp Summit armament brand, that will give you a cooldown reduction, skill power, and hive skill power. Alternatively, you could use 3 different brand sets, gaining the 2-piece bonus of each. Given the number of brand sets available, the build options are looking to be quite diverse, even from early on in the game. But whether they're a brand piece or not, items come with a talent and a varying number of attributes. The number of attributes a piece has seems to come down to RNG, but there are some things that seem to define this number, and one of these is mod slots. Unlike the Division 1, a piece can drop with an uncertain number of mod slots. It could have 1, or you could get up to 3. But there is a drawback to having a higher number of slots, in that it seems to affect the number of attributes a piece can have. So more slots can potentially equal less attributes on the gear. The talent is similar to what we used to in the Division 1, for example, the Savage Gloves. Except in the Division 2, this talent may require unlocking. As we can see here, in order to unlock the Spotter talent, we need a minimum of this battery-shaped icon. I'll go into more detail on this later in the video. Gear mods are back in the Division 2, and with this new random slot number, they'll be a hell of a lot more useful. Mods come with up to 3 attributes, so if you look at a piece with 3 mod slots, some attributes, and a talent, we're looking at quite a large amount of build diversity options out there. Also, some of the mods seem to come with quite specific bonuses, like Assault Rifle critical hit chance and LMG critical hit damage, relating more directly to weapon archetypes, rather than a general all-round weapon buff. You'll see that there's also another slot on gear pieces, the circle thing, the die slot. We now have the option to further customize each individual piece with a skin of some sort. With looter shooters it's pretty important these days. We all want to be able to dress and make our characters look the way we want. This is the true endgame. While we're on mods, it probably wouldn't hurt to touch base on the skills too. Where some of our gear mods would affect the efficiency of our skills in the Division 1, the Division 2 has gone in a different direction, allowing us to instead equip mods directly to the skill. Each of the skills can have 3 different types of mods equipped to them. For example, the drone has a battery slot, a hull slot, and a feed slot, and their mods each require a certain amount of skill power to activate them. Based on the number of skills we have at our disposal, this means a lot of farming for the right mods. Some of these slots could even be compared to the way that different skill mod options work in the Division 1. And yes, again, you'll have noticed the circle, but instead of being a die slot, skills have an FX slot. We didn't see any examples of these, but they could be ways to change the effect that your skills have while using them. Maybe it's just changing the colour of the healer drone, or the explosion of the Seeker Mine, or maybe it's like that skull in Halo, where the grunts would explode into a shower of confetti when you landed a headshot on them. Like the gear, we have the same rarity options, but again I'm going to focus on the high-end weapons. because let's face it, until you get to the stage of equipping golds and maybe purples, better weapons will be dropping as you level up anyway. I've broken the weapons down into two groups, stats and talents. Starting from the top, we have the weapon archetype and bonus. Below that we have the damage, RPM and mag size. This is the same as the Division 1. After that we have some new additions. This information has always been available, however it has never been displayed like we have here. At a quick glance we can see these extra stats on the weapons, including the accuracy and stability bars, your reload time, critical strike range, and even a damage drop-off chart. These might not mean a lot on their own, but they're damn useful when you start comparing weapons. High-end weapons still have 3 talents, but rather than having talents that could appear in any slot, we have 3 different types of weapon talents. Talent 1. We could call this one the main talent, as it seems to add quite a unique bonus that could change the way that you use the weapon. For example, on this UMP, in order to gain spike and increase in skill damage, you'll need to land headshot kills. Talent 2. I'm calling this one the passive talent. This bonus is one that could often be seen in the Division 1 weapon mods. These are a bit more straightforward and don't seem to require unlocking. Although these don't look like the most exciting bonuses, they could lead to different decisions when looking at the weapon mods. Talent 3. This is the holstered/unholstered talent. This slot offers one of 2 different types of bonuses. One where you have the weapon physically in your hands, or another where you simply have to have the weapon on your build, essentially offering a passive bonus. This could open up a large number of possibilities. For example, if you have a main weapon and 2 weapons that offer holstered talents, you could have up to 5 talents activated on the one weapon. Like the Division 1, some of these talents have requirements in order to be unlocked. But these aren't based off your main stats anymore. Now they're based off your gear. All talents that your gear and gear mods have are based on one of the 3 different groups: damage, defensive, and utility. And these are shown by these icons. The requirements of most of the weapon talents need you to have a minimum of 1 type. For instance, this one, Preservation, requires you to have at least 5 defense points. But also some depend on you having less than a certain amount, like Steady-Handed. In order to unlock this talent, you need to have 5 or less damage points. Of course, not everything has a prerequisite, and some might be as simple as just equipping the right scope. Weapon mods. I won't talk about these for too long, as I think a lot of you are already aware of what's happening in this space. But summing up, we no longer collect and hold on to hundreds of weapon mods, only to use them on the specific build that you never got around to making, especially when we always just ended up using the same best-in-slot mods anyway. Now, weapon mods are unlocked, and can be used on any weapon they fit on, no more collecting. Also, you don't get a straight bonus to your weapon anymore. Each mod gives a positive and negative effect. So if you were to choose the sturdy extended mag for your weapon, this would give you 30 extra rounds, but also remove a percentage of reload speed from the weapon. I know a lot of people weren't all that happy with this, saying it was a step backwards in build diversity, but I think it's quite the opposite. From what we can see, every weapon mod now has a use, and because of this positive-negative effect, you need to put in some consideration before throwing on a mod to fill the slot. You need to have a plan for what you're trying to achieve with your build, rather than just chucking on the usual critical hit chance muzzle and the extended mag. With all of the changes coming around to the Division 2, it may look like a scary place to start. But to be honest, once you get your head around the new user interface, not too much is different. The same concepts are there, with just a few changes to the mods and the way the talents work. It's hard to say at this stage before the full game has been released, but given the sheer number of talents available on the mods, weapons and gear, there's going to be a lot to farm for. I'm an old school RPGer, and I love the grind, provided there's actually something to grind for, of course. And so far, it's looking pretty damn good. With this comes the extended build diversity. Fingers crossed that we won't see any more classified gear making a comeback. Anyway, I hope this has helped ease some of the confusion around the way the gear and weapons work in the Division 2. Otherwise, let me know in the comments if you have any further questions. Cheers!